Senator Tom Cotton is also with us. He's the Senate Intel Committee member. He's senator from Arkansas. He's a possible VP pick as well. Let's get your take on the debate last night, sir.
Well, Dana, I think everyone saw President Biden and that he's not up to doing the job. He hasn't been up to doing the job these last 3.5 years. But even if he were 20 years younger and sprightly and energetic, he'd still be a failed, weak president because his ideas are failures. Joe Biden admitted last night there was no inflation when he took office. He's the cause of that inflation. He admitted that terrorists have probably crossed our border, which we know to be the case among the 10 million illegals who have entered the country. And time again, President Trump pointed out that we had peace and stability around the world when he was president. This is a very unusual moment in presidential history, first time in more than 100 years in which you have two people who've both been president. We don't have to guess or project what President Trump might be like in office. We know. Russia did not invade Ukraine when he was president. It did when Joe Biden's president, and for that matter, Barack Obama. You didn't have Iran running wild when Donald Trump was president. It has been since Joe Biden took office. Our enemies are laughing at us, and our allies are worried about us. So I think on full display last night was not just Joe Biden's unfitness for office, but his failed, weak presidency as well.
I just want to turn back to the Supreme Court, Senator, and this case that we've just seen, the Chevron case that essentially tears apart the ability of agencies to really make regulations without some pushback. And as a conservative, how big a deal is that for you?
Well, this case is a huge victory for the American people and constitutional government and the rule of law. It's a huge blow to the administrative state in Washington, D.C. No one elects bureaucrats to make these decisions for the American people. They elect us, congressmen, senators, and the president to make those decisions. We shouldn't be having bureaucrats making them, and Congress should be writing clearer, simpler laws that allow people to understand them and not punting off to the administrative state to make those decisions for us. That's one reason, or that's one way you get the web of regulations you've seen over the last 3.5 years. They're acting like a wet blanket on economic growth. We didn't have that when Donald Trump was president. We had reasonable regulations to protect public health and safety, but we also had strong economic growth. That's what we'll have once President Trump is back in office, especially now that this outdated judicial-made doctrine has been overturned.
Senator Tom Cotton, thank you so much for joining us today. It was a busy day, and we're happy to have your voice